What's going on, folks? I am Goat. So, anybody who's already been subscribed to this channel knows that this was previously just a base vlog channel. And as going into the first and only remaining video of this being a vlog channel, I want to cover exactly what the fuck this is. Goat's football breakdown. Okay, now, no, this is not European football. This is not soccer. I know. My UK lovelies are gonna be like, no, it's football over here. Well, we call it football over here, okay? Call football soccer, and it's come on, it's English language. We always fuck it up. Let's just be honest, okay? I think we can all agree on that. The English language is absolutely decimated by the US. It's just beautiful that way. I am an NFL fan, like so many, right? Like so many. There's millions upon tens of millions of NFL fans out there. And there's a lot of homers, which are hometown hardcore fans no matter what. There are a lot of unbiased fans. Well, I say a lot. There's actually a few unbiased fans. And then there are open-minded fans of the game in itself. And that's really where I kind of fall into place, is I'm a very open-minded fan of the game. I think that there are good things with the league. I think that there's bad things with the league. I think that there's things that they can fix, things that are kind of meh. You know, I mean, it's just how it is. So, for years, I actually had a little friendly betting pool with family members and friends in regards to only wins and losses, because I'm not a gambler per se, but we would always just kind of, joke around and have a good time with it and just bet on, week to week basis of who we thought was going to win each game by their gameplay. And always the first 3 weeks of the season is always the worst, because either the team's going to come in as solid as it was the previous year, or they're going to come in like crap, or they're going to come in and just amaze you. Who really ever knows, right? So, sorry, I have a fucking spot. I don't know. So, but anyway, so what we're going to do is this is literally diving in from years of screwing around, playing around with football, from the status of being a fan, but an open-minded fan. And yes, I will tell you right now, I'm from I'm not from the Kansas City area, but I live in the Kansas City area. And yes, luckily for me, as of right now, I'm a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. Although this season, the 2021 season starting, is definitely not as anybody expected from this team. So I say luckily for me, but at the same time, not so much luckily for me, because they're kind of playing like crap. But see, I can say that. We'll get into it. I'm open-minded to the point of teams, okay, as far as how they're built, how they're playing. I'm not into specific players so much unless a specific player needs to be addressed. I'm not into records so much either, because I don't think that records always speak volumes to the ability level of a team. The 2020 season is a perfect example of the Broncos. I think that the Denver Broncos have a roster to be a fucking a Super Bowl caliber team. But having Drew Lock as their quarterback last year was a huge inhibiting factor of that and injuries. So, but again, we're going to talk about all this, okay? We really are. So, I'm actually going to just start this out as of my week 3 analysis. Now, I don't always do week-to-week analysis, but the 2021 season has actually been a very interesting season so far. So, I did a full NFL analysis, team by team, division by division. And typically, whenever I do an analysis, I don't do grades of A, B, C, D, and F. As far as their gameplay, I usually do above expectations, and this really does fall into my expectations or the market, and I will define the difference, okay, as far as if the market had an expectation one way, but I personally had an expectation another. So above expectations, or well above expectations, okay, as expected, below expectations, or in the strange universe of odd. Okay? And sometimes these will mix and match. Okay? So, we're just going to dive straight into the AFC East. And I'm literally just going to read. You're going to see me looking over. I'm going to read exactly what I put up on Facebook and then kind of define it a little bit more if I can, if it needs it. So the AFC East, as of right now, and actually I'm going to look at one thing before I get fully started. NFL standings. I want to make sure I have one thing in order. That I do. I want to make sure I have one thing in order. I'm almost positive I do. My fucking God. Thank you so much. Yes, I do. Okay. Good. Good. Because of the Monday night game with the Cowboys and the Eagles, I wanted to make sure that the Eagles were, in fact, sitting in third place, which I thought they were because they've already had a division loss. Now they've had 2, I believe. No, they've had 1. 1 division loss with no division wins, which is what puts them in third, not second, because Washington has had a division win and a loss. And yes, I vape. I'll try to keep it to a minimum, but that's, how I actually started on YouTube, so anybody who knows me for that obviously is going to expect it. So the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills are sitting on top of the division. This is absolutely no shock to me. I graded them as expected by the end of week 3. As I defined, the expectation for the Bills was to lead their division and to be a contender for the AFC Championship and possibly the Super Bowl. Yes, their first game of the season was a surprising loss to the Steelers of all teams, but they have since rebounded to the present expectations of their gameplay. Nothing really new to report here, other than if they stay the course, they will most likely meet the market expectations of making the postseason or better. There's really not much else to say to that. Honestly, the Buffalo Bills are what they are. They're a very built team. They've got a young quarterback in Josh Allen who is very much growing into the team week to week, year to year, and he is getting better. Okay, he's getting more comfortable. Their defense is very good. It's not amazing, but it's very good. It's more than enough to keep them in the game. Like the first game of the season, the Steelers game, that was really one that you really saw the Buffalo defense step up way better than the offense. The offense just looked totally fucking wrong in their first game of the season. So it is what it is. Yeah, the next one. Just make sure I have this order right, because I'm almost, This is surprising to me. Okay, now, next team, Miami Dolphins. This is me. I don't really care about the market expectations on this, but as expected. Okay, Miami Dolphins, as expected. I'll give you my readout here first. Let's be completely honest about this team presently. To call them a mess is to be kind. They were a mess last year with random roster changes at QB, and as of yet, I can see nothing. I can't see the long-term goal other than mediocrity. Again, it's very early in the season, and I'm not trying to knock dicks in the dirt here, but it's just what I see. They have the talent, but lack the drive to finish games off. It's very true. Miami is they're kind of like this weird quandary of a team. They've got the potential to be something really good, but I don't believe that Tua is a long-term solution for that team. I think he's kind of like a Taysom Hill kind of guy. I think that he could be... Let's break down Tua how he is, okay? He's a very accurate quarterback when he's not under pressure, right? I mean, there's no questioning that. He's a very accurate quarterback, but you need a lot more than that to be something other than a game manager at that point, okay? And right now, that team is just mediocre at best. So they're sitting in second place, truthfully, is the only surprise about the team. But given what's behind them in the division, it's not a surprise. So call it what it is. But they're exactly where I expected them to be. Not at the head of their division, being kind of a mess. Tua not really in a complete groove and a jive. Can they be better? Yes. Can Tua be better? Yes. Time will tell with the Miami Dolphins. I mean, prior to putting Tua in and pulling Fitzpatrick last year, granted Fitzpatrick, journeyman quarterback, bounces, I mean, what God only knows. I think he's been on like fucking 10 or 13 teams at this point. I'm not the numbers guy by any stretch, but he's been on a lot of teams, and he's up and down and up and down and up and down. But they pulled him out at the most odd time. They pulled him out on an up. You pull Fitzpatrick when he's on a down. When he's just starting to take that downward spiral, you pull Fitzpatrick and you put in the next guy up. Because that's when the next guy up is typically... Fitzpatrick is usually... He starts a season good and ends mediocre. Okay, that's just how he is. So, it is what it is. Number 3 in the division. Third place in the AFC East. The New England Patriots. Below expectations. Now, that's not to say that I'm putting this on Mac Jones, first of all, but below expectations. I expect more out of Bill Belichick. Okay, I really do. And it's not the offense. This is going to be the weird part, in my personal opinion. Here's what I put. Sure, the expectations on Mac Jones to be some amazing, straight out of college, seamlessly transitioning to the NFL. Homers out there have been screaming about him. Well, guess what? He's like most first-round quarterbacks in their first season. He's experiencing growing pains and an extreme learning curve of how the NFL plays out. That's not exactly how I typed it, but it is what it is because it's the truth. I'm sorry, we've seen it time and time again. Okay, college quarterbacks look amazing in college and they hit the NFL and the game is just explosive and in their face and they're not used to that. Difference with roster sizes alone, much less the amount of money colleges have to throw at their teams and what divisions they're in and what their schedules are. I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play with why college quarterbacks look amazing and then they look like crap when they first show up in the NFL. What's concerning is the defense. There's quite a few things that just aren't right at the moment. We'll see how it goes, though. That really is the truth. Bill Belichick is a very defensive-based guy, okay? It's not that he can't he can't run offensive scheming, but Bill Belichick's focus has almost always been with defense as far as the Patriots is concerned. And the Patriots, up until a few years ago, their defensive scheming was actually pretty damn good. Okay, take Tom Brady and all of the rotating pieces of the offense out of the equation, and you just look at the Patriots' defense. And the truth of it is that the Patriots' defense has been a bend not break mentality, or just smack you in the fucking face, screw you. Okay, that's just how they've been. Okay, and that's very much credit to Belichick. I mean, granted, Belichick comes off as probably one of the most crunchy motherfuckers to talk to. Like, he just shuts down. I don't know if he does it on purpose for a humor basis or if he just doesn't like talking to people and he just hates society. I don't know, but Bill Belichick just comes off as this gruff, grumpy old piece of shit. I don't think he is that guy, but that's just how he comes off. But I expect more out of Belichick's defense than what they're providing at the present moment, and I think it's a big problem that they're not talking about very much. Time will tell, though. I want to see where Mac Jones ends up at the end of the year. Do I think he's going to be a Super Bowl? Do I think that team is going to be a Super Bowl contender this year? Absolutely not. Not unless something just truly insane happens with the Bills. I don't think they have a shot in hell of hitting the Super Bowl. Depending on what happens with the Dolphins, if they progress and get better and their defense cinches things up. Again, this is only week 3, so this is not some crazy knee-jerk horse shit, but I mean, is the plausibility there for them to be pretty damn good? Yeah, it is. And seeing footage on Mac Jones in college and seeing what he's doing in the NFL right now, yeah, he looks rough. He looks rough in the NFL, but the kid looks like he's got potential to be something better, and I think that's why they picked him up. So kudos to them for picking up somebody that looks like they've got potential. Now, is he going to live up to it? Time will only tell. Here's one that got a grade that I don't usually give, and I don't give this grade lightly. But number 4 in the AFC East, the New York Jets. Now, I listed them as expected, but trash. Okay? If you're a Jets fan, I think you would probably agree with me, although it does come off harsh. Just put in there what I typed first, and then we'll discuss this. I had hoped that Robert Saleh's drive and ambition would be enough to light a collective fire under the butts of the players to make them press themselves further, but sadly that has not been the case. I mean, is anyone truthfully surprised that the Jets are amazingly still a trash team at this present moment? You throw a rookie quarterback into an NFL QB position on a horrible fucking team with a defensive-minded first-time head coach and someone out there actually expecting something other than what they're getting. Okay. It's really the truth. Robert Saleh is a defensive-minded coach, and they've got a fucking rookie quarterback in there. When you get a first-time head coach The last thing you want to do is take a defensive-minded first-time head coach and stick him with a fucking rookie quarterback and then pray like hell that he's got the good enough coordinator to get the job done. Especially when you go into a team that is that implosive. The Jets and the Giants both. We'll get into the Giants, but the Jets and the Giants both equate out to a hot fucking mess. How in the hell anybody talked Robert Saleh into taking on that Jets job is beyond me. There's so many plausible places that man could have gone. And for some reason, he looked at the Jets and thought, I need a bigger challenge in my life and a fucking heart attack to boot. And one of the hardest fucking markets to touch because they bash every fucking, they just quantify every little thing that you do and they bash every little fucking thing you do. You fart in public, you're going to get bashed for fucking 3 months. The Jets are a fucking dumpster fire. Okay, they really are. I hope that they don't just can Robert Saleh after a couple of years. I hope that they give the man time to actually build that team because I'd really like to see him do something with it. I want to see Robert Saleh's ability to really build a good coaching staff and really make that team better than what it is because, I mean, even 2 wins in a season right now is going to be good for them. So let's move on to the AFC North. Cincinnati Bengals. Now, if anybody remembers last season, the Cincinnati Bengals ended way below what anybody expected them to be, just with the quarterback that they put in there alone. Okay, they drafted Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was an extremely good college quarterback. Again, throwing the guy in first year. With what he had around him, it was very questionable because, they were dealing with a really questionable offensive line. The defense was a little, to say the least. And then you stick this really talented quarterback in there, kind of like the Mac Jones situation with the Patriots, and you have this expectation like they're going to be amazing. And funny enough, Joe Burrow went from looking like crap to starting to find his groove, and then he had a season-ending injury. And it's like, the moment that injury hit, that team looked like it just got deflated and they just fell the fuck apart for basically the remainder of the season, which sucks for them, but it proved that they just needed a spark. Thus far, them sitting number 1 in the AFC North, I list them as above expectations. Here's what I put. Joe Burrow, just prior to his injury last year, was starting to look comfortable, and with their defense was trying to find a groove. His injury set off a massive series of unfortunate events that led to the team being junk last season. So far, and yes, I know it's early, he's got his groove and his team is responding to it in kind. Definitely watching them to see if they can maintain it. That is 100% the truth. That kid seems to be lighting a fire under that team's collective ass, and that's a good thing. It's bad if he gets hurt because then that fire just gets snuffed out. But it's a good thing if he doesn't get hurt because they can build off of his energy and his gameplay and his drive. You know what I mean? So it's not bad. I think the Bengals, are they going to live up to a higher expectation? Especially with the Ravens and the Browns directly behind them? No, I don't think that they are. But right now, sitting number 1 at week 3, it's pretty surprising to me. I figured they'd be I figured they would honestly be in the 3 spot. I really did. I honestly figured that the Browns or the Ravens, either team, was going to be sitting in that number 1 spot. Is what it is. On to the next, number 2 spot. Baltimore Ravens. Here's what I typed. So there's no denying that the Ravens offense is very interesting to defend due to so many threats from so many locations. That doesn't mean that they can't be stopped, and it's been proven before. Until they can make a push to the Super Bowl, I'm not going to hop on the Jackson Ravens hype train just yet. Lamar Jackson is a gifted player, but that doesn't mean he's the only thing to define their success. They have a rebuilt running back squad, which, bad deal for them. They had a very good running back squad, and then basically everybody got hurt tail end of the preseason. So, but they have a rebuilt running back squad. A defense is dealing with injuries. Very true. And overall, a chance to be great regardless. They're an enigma to me at this point in the season. That's very, very true. Seeing them at number 2, as expected. I figured them at 1 or 2 by week 3 or 4. I really did. And they're right where I expected them to be. And with the injuries that they've had with basically their entire running back core, and then they've had secondary issues, Yeah, it's pretty good on them to be able to be sitting in the number 2 spot in your division by week 3, dealing with that. So good on them. It's the truth. Good on them. Number 3, Cleveland Browns, as expected. Now, the only part of this that I say as expected to is this. I did not expect them to be sitting in the number 3 spot. Truth be told, like I said, I expected either the Ravens or the Browns to be sitting in the number 1 and the number 2 spot. And truth of it is, I actually had the expectation that the Browns were going to be sitting in the number 1 spot. And here's why. The roster of the Browns is built to succeed. It's that simple. They've got some injuries that they're dealing with, but overall, they're still performing quite well. If it wasn't for a simple fourth quarter blunder against the Chiefs, they'd probably have a perfect record right now, because I don't see how they couldn't have potentially come back to try to win that game. That's true. I don't watch a lot of sports analysis because I think there are a lot of homers for the most part, but I will agree with something, and a lot of people don't like this man's take on a lot of things, and I do understand why, because he's kind of goofy. But Colin Cowherd, I think has Baker Mayfield kind of figured out, and he's not wrong. Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff have something very much in common. Now, between the two of them, I think Baker Mayfield is far more talented than Jared Goff, but they both need to have a script. Okay, they both need supervision. I think Baker Mayfield can be let loose a lot more than Jared Goff, but Baker Mayfield, if you keep him on script and you keep him to the game plan, Baker Mayfield can execute a game very well. Okay, I really wholeheartedly believe that. Does he make some boneheaded decisions from time to time? Yes, but I mean, he's a fucking NFL quarterback. They all do. We'll get into that one too, because he's not above reproach, and neither is a couple of quarterbacks out there. But if they can keep Baker Mayfield on script, they stick to their game plan, and they stay mostly injury-free, I think the Browns definitely have a shot at taking the AFC North and making a good, solid run into the playoffs. Are they going to get to the Super Bowl? I don't know, but I do believe that the Browns are definitely going to be in the playoffs, unless something really insane happens. Number 4 in the AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Got a double grade, odd and below expectations. Now, I say below expectations because the odd comes from me, the below expectations is from the market expectations. People had the expectation that the Steelers were going to be a little better than what they are. So yeah, here's my description. Yeah, they get a double grade here. Nothing about this team makes sense right now, aside from they should have moved on from Ben, which is Ben Roethlisberger for anybody who doesn't know, but they should have moved on from Ben 2 years ago. They have no run game to speak of. Hell, their offense is just something of wonder in itself, and that's not a good thing. Their defense is stacked like it should be amazing, even with some injuries. But the next man up rule still applies, which the general consensus, we'll cover that really quick. The next man up rule is that there's a backup design. There's usually a backup player in there somewhere if somebody gets injured, because the National Football League is a very, very aggressive game. If you don't know it, go watch some videos. Believe me, you'll question how people aren't dead playing it. And so that's the next man up rule. It's kind of an unspoken rule, but it's the next man up. If somebody gets injured, you're the next guy up. The expectation is that you understand your fucking job and you need to go do your job and perform to the best of your abilities. And with them having a few injuries here and there, their next man up bit is not up to par at all. So the next man up rule still applies, and they should be way better than what they are at the moment. Their record of 1-2 reflects exactly where they belong presently. And I like the Steelers, and that's true. My top 4 favorite teams are the New Orleans Saints, Pittsburgh Steelers, Green Bay Packers, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs being my number 1, of course. But just saying. I do like the Steelers, but personally, the way their offense is performing and the way that their defense is kind of underperforming, I think that they belong exactly in that number 4 spot with the AFC North. It's just a sad truth. They're not playing Steeler ball at all. So the AFC South we go. 2 more AFC divisions, and then we'll go into the NFC. AFC South, Tennessee Titans, as expected. Okay, so they had a shit game to start the season. Guess what? Now they're leading their division in 3. They're leading their division 3 games in. Imagine that. They've got potential, but right now their pains are actually in the defense, and I'm waiting to see just how they work that issue, or if it comes back to haunt them later in the season. It's even more odd to me that their coach was a very strong linebacker during his NFL playing career, and they're showing signs of defensive issues. And no, they aren't anything that can't be corrected by any means. It's very true. Mike Vrabel was a very, very good NFL linebacker. Not like, amazing, but a very good NFL linebacker. He had very good football sense, So seeing them having some defensive woes is a little interesting. Their first game really kind of shocked the hell out of me because their offense was just literally shut down and their defense just was not good. Now, since they're getting a little better, we'll see how they go throughout the season. Number 2, Houston Texans. They get odd and above expectations right now. Another double grade team here. To be honest, it wouldn't have surprised me to see the Texans go winless this season, given how much of a dumpster fire the team has been during the majority of last season and this recent offseason. Are they going to be able to maintain it? We'll see once Tyrod Taylor comes back on the field. He's injured at the moment, obviously. I think he's the only thing that gives this team some hope at the present moment. I don't steer away from that at all. I think Tyrod Taylor is the only thing that can spark the Texans to maintain some semblance of a winning record. Do I think that they are a playoff contender? Abso-fucking-lutely not. I don't. I may eat my words on that one later. I just don't see it. I don't. That team is a fucking mess. They've got skill players, but they've also got so many problems. They've got a fuck ton of problems. And they have a lot of long-term problems. That's the weird thing to me. Like, Bill O'Brien fucked that team up, okay? That's just the truth of it. Their ex-head coach / general manager just absolutely fucked that team up. And the fact that they didn't start to correct the problem prior to him destroying what they were is beyond me. And Deshaun Watson has literally just fucked that team over twice over. With all of his legal woes. So the Indianapolis Colts. Below market expectations. I will say this. Truthfully, my expectations they're about where I figured they'd be. About where, I don't know. They're kind of below and about where I figured they'd be. I guess below expectations probably fits me as well, but just a little. So here's what I posted. Look, one can only hope that a QB is better than his circumstances. With Carson Wentz, I honestly carried a little bit of hope that maybe the dude would nut up and start playing to expectations. Well, as of yet, he looks exactly as expected. Not great. The team's defense is not amazing right now, their QB is not great, and their offense in general is just not playing that great. That's the story of the Indianapolis Colts at the present moment. It just really is, man. I mean, as much as I want to say, hey, the Colts are going to be great this year, Carson Wentz was a semi-decent to circumstantially good performing quarterback with the Eagles. When they put his bitch ass on the bench, there was a reason behind it. Okay, Wentz he's not sturdy. He gets injured a lot. And he breaks down mentally so easily. So moving him to the Colts, I don't think really was a great thing. Truthfully, I'm very surprised that the Colts went with Carson Wentz. I had high hopes that maybe Wentz would wake up and be like, you know what, I'm going to prove all the naysayers wrong. But as of yet, he's proving all the naysayers 100% right. And it sucks for him. Number 4, Jacksonville Jaguars. Below market expectations, as I expected. To a point. I'm going to put an exception to this because Trevor Lawrence is the exception. Okay? Trevor Lawrence is performing well below what I expected. I said, look, I had high hopes for Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer as a pair to spark hopes for a very bad team, to at least lift their gameplay some and give them a chance to be better. Sadly, this has just not been the case. You have the number 1 overall pick on the worst possible team situation that looks like it has no chance of success with their present coach. Meyer seems lost, to say the least. And if Lawrence isn't careful, he's going to be sucked into the abyss of shit that Meyer leaves behind him when he runs back to a college coaching position. It's very true. Urban Meyer is not known for sticking with positions. He tends to follow trends and go for where he can win. And if he gets his ass handed to him throughout this season, I have a feeling he's going to either get himself fired or resign his position and probably go to the to USC. Truth be told, I think that's a good fit for him as a college position. I don't see Urban Meyer as an NFL coach. I just don't. I'm sorry. The thing of it is that Trevor Lawrence looked like he had big time abilities. Okay, looked like he had big time abilities. It provided him with great opportunity to do something amazing coming into the NFL. And as of right now, he's looking very mediocre. I hope for his case he does get better, because I think Trevor Lawrence does have the capabilities of being a very good quarterback. But right now, he looks extremely mediocre, if not shit. Now, here comes, in my personal opinion, I think there are two highly contested divisions in the AFC. Okay, I think that the AFC North is a very highly contested division due to the Ravens and the Browns. The AFC West, I thought, was somewhat contested, but I had a feeling it was going to be more contested, and we're going to get into exactly why. So in order, number one, the Denver Broncos. Now, is it going to stay that way? Probably not. They've been playing some kind of teams. So we'll see how this goes. But into week 3, them being the head of their division, that's saying something. The only reason that they have this grade is that my best guess was weighing on if Teddy Bridgewater was their starter. He's not an amazing quarterback, but he's a game manager. He's the game manager that the Broncos have been in desperate need of. Quick segue out of what I put on Facebook. I'm sorry, as much as I wanted to try and have faith in Drew Lock just did not mature in the position, and he was very reckless with the ball. Back to what I put. They needed a QB that isn't being a complete moron with the ball, Drew Lock. That's Bridgewater. The Broncos have a very, very good roster, and having a good QB at the helm gives them hope in moving forward short term. Are they a Super Bowl contender? Most probably not. But are they going to give people fits throughout the season given their present course? Probably. That's the truth. The Denver Broncos have a very, very stacked roster. And what was killing them more than anything was Drew Lock. The kid's got potential, but he's reckless as fuck. And at least by how he carried himself on the field and how he showed himself on the sidelines, he seemed very, very immature to that fact. And it's very destructive to your team, because if your quarterback acts mature and acts like a jackass, well, what are you supposed to do, you know? Number 2, the Las Vegas Raiders, as expected, and I'm not kidding you whatsoever. It would not have surprised me to see the Raiders in the number 1 spot, if not number 2. John Gruden is a team builder. That's not something that you do overnight. You make unpopular moves, you piss people off, and some will lose faith. At the end, his record speaks for itself. He built an offense around a bit of a crybaby QB, Derek Carr. Not wrong about that, and if you argue that, you're lying to yourself. But he built an offense around a crybaby QB with talent. And look at what's become of them so far. And their defense is simply no punk. The Raiders are a for real team that, if they stay the course, have a chance to compete for the division. That is 100% accurate. I think the Raiders can only beat the Raiders. I think the Raiders can go in and smack the shit out of a great many teams if they really apply themselves. But I think that the Raiders' biggest enemy is themselves. As long as they don't get in their own fucking way, I think that the Raiders actually have a very good chance to really become something very good for the AFC West, which is something they haven't done in a long time. Next, the Los Angeles Chargers, as I expected. I figured they would probably be in the number 3 slot. Truth be told, the number 1 and the number 4 slot is what surprised me the most about this. But the number 3 spot, as expected, with Justin Herbert at the helm, they are going to get mostly good, if not great, QB productivity from him. He's growing and learning every game, and that's a great thing for the future of their franchise. Their defense isn't amazing, and that's truthfully their downfall for being a major competitor this season. Their defense has what it takes, but they aren't built for the week-to-week shootouts right now, and that's what their defense is giving them. I'm sorry, their offense has what it takes. But their defense is basically forcing them into week-to-week shootouts. I honestly like Herbert, and I want to see the kid succeed. I hope that they can get this synced up. Sorry, I don't know why I put cinched. I hope that they can get this synced up so he can play the game. You can see that he's able to. Okay, so basically, Justin Herbert is a very, very talented kid that stepped in when Tyrod Taylor got his lung punctured week 1 last season. And this kid is no punk. He has definitely got some for real skills. The problem is that their defense has been hurting them, and they had a lot of injuries last season, and he was making some rookie mistakes, which is fine. This season thus far, he's looking much more poised. And it wasn't that he wasn't looking very poised last season. So I think they've got I think with Justin Herbert, the sky is the limit with him. I think he could be very, very good if they continue to build the team around him. Here comes my home team, number 4 in the AFC West, Kansas City Chiefs. Odd and well below expectations in bold. No, the sky isn't falling yet. This has been a team that 4 years ago had no defense and a great offense. 3 years ago had an amazing offense and still no defense. 2 seasons ago, they took it all the way to the Super Bowl by finally building a defense. And then last season, they finish up absolutely decimated with postseason injuries. They had a horrible backup plan for the next man up. We spoke about that for the O-line and other positions because we did have some defensive injuries as well, and we were suffering on that bad. An injured QB, and we ended up losing the Super Bowl due to poor planning and even worse play. That's very much the truth. That's just very much the truth. It's not making excuses at all. The truth of it is they did not plan at all, basically, for the O-line injuries. It's just like they just threw some random motherfuckers in there, and they were like, well, if somebody gets hurt, you only have to play a few plays. They'll come back in. Mahomes was playing with a severe level of turf toe. And the defense had a couple of injuries, and honestly, we had no linebacker core, which going against Tom Brady is a very, very stupid thing. Like, if you know that you're even going to face Tom Brady once, you better have some good linebackers, because that man will destroy the middle of the field. He does it every fucking year. And this isn't taking away from the Bucs or Tom Brady, because the Bucs in the Super Bowl played very, very good on defense, and Tom Brady played well enough to put that offense where it needed to be. No, I don't think that Tom Brady won the Super Bowl for them. He just put them in a position to stay ahead of the Chiefs, and their defense won that Super Bowl. They beat the shit out of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. 100%. They just forced a bunch of stupid fucking plays and just basically chased Mahomes all over the goddamn field on a gimpy foot. Yeah. What are you going to say? The Bucs won that game fair and fucking square. So back to what I typed. Sorry, I keep getting off topic, or not off topic, but off of my post. This season, they seem to not only show that they are back to 4 seasons ago with their defense, but the offense is making absolutely stupid decisions. I understand that they're trying to establish their ability to run to change the expectations with other teams, but they're seriously shooting themselves in both feet right now with an odd thought that they can walk away after doing it. It's like they're either out of sync offensively, or they're actually surprised that other teams have actually studied film on them, on what they've been doing to the league, and are finally showing up prepared. Time will tell if they can right the ship or end up in a disaster. I can say this, that if they continue down the path that they are going to find themselves out of contention rapidly. If the Raiders and the Broncos continue to perform well, and that would be the ultimate shocker on the entire AFC side of the ball. That is very true. A lot of people picked from the AFC side either the Chiefs or the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. Right now, the Chiefs are sitting at the bottom of their division at 1-2. Yeah. And their week 1 win over the Browns was by the skin of their fucking teeth. Yeah, they cinched up the second half of that game, but the Browns were in it still. So let's go to the NFC, and I know this video is going to be a little long. Get over it. NFC East. This is the truth. The NFC East was the running joke division last season. It really was, because every team had a losing fucking record. But somebody from the division has to, at least one team from every division has to go to the playoffs. Dallas Cowboys, well above expectations. With how the team looked last year, aside from their fans, there's just no way that anyone could have predicted accurately how this team was going to show up and play. They were probably one of the most injury-struck teams in the entire NFC and showed it badly. So far, Dak Prescott is showing that his 2 injuries have not been a problem. Their defense isn't stunning, but it's also not terrible, and their offense in general is trying to follow Dak's lead, which is a good thing, by the way. If they keep it up, they've got a chance for a playoff run. I don't dare predict that any further right now, though. The Cowboys are still probably one of the most unpredictable postseason teams out there. That's not untrue. I'm sorry. All the way back through the Tony Romo days and previous. Aside from the 90s, the Cowboys have been a very, very, very strange team when it comes to postseason. So number 2 in the division, the Washington football team, and please, for the love of God, somebody give this team a name. I would love it if you would name them the Sentinels. I think it would be great to just give a nice little tip of the cap to the replacements. If you haven't seen that movie, you should if you like football. If you like football and you haven't seen that movie, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Below expectations. Look, when they started, they started a journeyman quarterback behind a shit O-line and almost no run game to speak of, and he got hurt. Imagine that. Now they're on their backup plans just like last year because they went through 3 fucking quarterbacks last year. 3 or 4. I'm not surprised with their offensive issues. The surprise and the below expectations falls solely on that defense. And it's no punk-ass roster either. They're just not playing exceptionally well at this point. Are they terrible? No. Defensively. But are they playing to what they should be playing to? Absolutely not. Them being in the number 2 spot, if it wasn't for who was behind them, would be very surprising. But given who's behind them, what are you going to say? Philadelphia Eagles, as I expected. Some people actually had higher expectations. I did not. They're playing exactly as I expected, and them being in the number 3 spot in the NFC East does not surprise me in the fucking least. I mean, the Cowboys just absolutely fucking spanked them. They're not a good team right now. They're just not. Considering what the entire division was last year, to say that every team in it was lackluster at best is an understatement. The Eagles honestly were mediocre at best last season. To see improvement is always a good thing. Currently, I don't find that their performances to be amazing per se, but they are definitely better than last season so far. Their defense is definitely what I expected. Their offense is lacking, in my opinion. They've got a young quarterback, a banged-up O-line. Their run game is hit and miss, and the jury is honestly still out on this team's longevity for any chance of a postseason presence. We'll see. I can say this. Jalen Hurts, I don't see it, man. Long-term, I don't see him as a franchise guy. I don't. Yeah, okay, so he's got some mobility, but he's just... There's something about Jalen Hurts that's just not right, okay? He's fun, okay? That's what Jalen Hurts is. He's fun, but he's not amazing. Could he be? Sure, but is he? This one's going to be short. Number 4, the New York Giants. Give me a team from New York that doesn't say Buffalo Bills that's good. Yep, that's what I thought. You can't. The Giants are amazing at shooting themselves in the foot, and they just don't ever disappoint with that consistency for a few years now. More like a fucking decade. They've been rebuilding that team for 10 damn years. They started in 2011, and they still ain't fixed it. They're not a great team at this time, and it's just that simple. I really have nothing else to say. I think by the end of this season, they need to figure out what they're doing at quarterback if their quarterback has not stepped up by that point. Okay? It's just the truth. Into the NFC North. Now, this is a very, very, very potentially what I thought was going to be a very contending or a contentious style division. I thought that there was going to be a lot of good going on here, and as of yet, not so much. NFC North, Green Bay Packers in the number 1 spot, as expected. So Aaron Rodgers is a prickly and grumpy fellow that people have mixed feelings about. Guess what? That doesn't make him a bad player. The team does have its issues, and that's because they've got their doors... but just because they got their doors blown off in the first game of the season doesn't mean that they're a shit team. They've got a lot of defensive questions to answer, and they're starting to work on it, but they're not a terrible team. With whatever background issues they may have, they've got a shot to press into the postseason, and if they continue to press the matter. as of the last 2 games. Right now, I have no idea, truthfully. The thing that I think kills the Green Bay Packers, honestly, is that they are kind of a 3-trick pony on offense. Defense, they're just mediocre. I don't think they're amazing, and I don't think they're terrible. But they're kind of just this, not a 1-trick pony. I know 3-trick pony just isn't really a thing, but for the Green Bay Packers, it is. They have Aaron Rodgers, they have Devontae Adams, and they have Jones for their running back. I think it's Aaron Jones or Adam Jones. I can't remember. Sorry. But they have Jones for the running back. He's a good running back, and their O-line sometimes does a good job opening up holes for the guy. Sometimes they don't, and he still makes plays, but he's a decent running back. But only really having one standout receiver really limits them, and that's what hurt him in the postseason 2 years in a row. Sorry, you got to put more than one fucking guy out there. Number 2 in the division, below expectations, Chicago Bears. Yes, Andy Dalton is technically their starter, and after their Sunday performance, I have a feeling he will still be their starter once he comes back. And he's a mixed player when it comes to stats, so there's that issue. Like many pocket passers, if you give him questionable protection, his numbers will be all over the place. Look at his record with the Bengals. As that O-line began to crumble and fall apart, his numbers went all over the place. He was very good when he had good protection, and he was shit when he didn't. It's just how it was. So take that with a grain of salt. The issue that I have is their defense. I know that sounds crazy, right? They have the makings of a really kick-ass unit, and as of yet, it's more been like a gentle pat on the ass team and not kicking it, meaning patting someone on the butt rather than kicking their ass. I don't know how this team is going to look by the end of the season, but the outlook right now is a bit bleak through 3 games. I think that if they can get their minds right, they can really press to be better than what they're showing. I do believe that. Them being in the number 2 spot is the surprising part for me. The Minnesota Vikings at number 3, in my opinion, well below expectations, but at minimum below expectations. Let's be honest here. The general consensus is that the Vikings are supposed to be the NFC North competition against the Packers, and as of right now, they are far from that goal to start this season. They've got a far better roster than their gameplay has shown. They're simply not playing up to their own standards, so they beat an underperforming Seahawks team on Sunday. That doesn't mean that they're set to make any sort of a real run just yet. It's the truth. Number 4, Detroit Lions. As expected. First of all, I'm just going to say this. When you trade off Matthew Stafford, pretty much the only good thing on your team, and for Jared Goff and picks, come on. What do you expect this team is going to look like? What I wrote, the Lions have been a dumpster fire organization for a hot minute, and it doesn't look like that's meant to change anytime soon. I don't care how many coaches they put in the position. They literally traded Matthew Stafford away for Jared Goff. You've got to be some kind of next level stupid to consider that trade for anything other than exactly what it is, to build for the future. Goff needs a babysitter, and the team isn't going to provide that level of coverage. It's a no-win situation for him, and it is what it is. Done. AFC South. This is what I call the surprise division. 3 out of 4 of these teams, surprise. To a point, as far as being in contention. Carolina Panthers. Well above expectations. So many football fans are sick to death of hearing about the Chiefs and the Bucks or Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Well, as they've snuck into this season and acting like a hidden group of certified players being led by Sam Darnold, the Jets quarterback. Yep. Wait, what? Yep, Darnold is back to prove to the haters that it wasn't him but it was the shit team that he was on. And as of yet, how could you argue that fact? Facts are facts and records are records. I want to see how the rest of the season, or what the rest of the season has in store for them, but as of right now, the Packers are looking damn for real. Again, early in the season stance here only. It's the truth. Their defense is actually looking very good, and their offense is actually looking very productive with Sam Darnold, of all quarterbacks, being at the head of it. They're looking good. A lot of people wanted to bash on Darnold, but again, you got to take it with a grain of salt that he was the Jets quarterback, and the Jets suck. Granted, he wasn't helping their scenario, but neither was the rest of their roster, so give the guy a chance. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as expected. Look, when you bring back basically your entire Super Bowl winning roster, that leaves you in a position for success. Now, are they dealing with some injuries? Yes. And they aren't the dominant force that the NFL press would love to feed you bullshit about. They were hit and miss last season. And this is the truth. They were hit and miss last season and showed up in the postseason as they should have. And that's great for them. But I said that the Bucs were probably going to show more hit and miss games, but are contenders. So there's that. The truth of it is that their offense is not amazing, but it's good. Their defense is built to be good or built to be amazing, and they're just kind of good. The Bucs all around are a good team. They are. They're not amazing. They're built for it, but they're not amazing, but they're a damn good team. There's no taking away from that. I don't give a shit how many people hate Tom Brady. I don't hate the guy. I mean, fuck, you got to give the guy kudos. He's done wonderful things throughout his career, and he's still fucking playing in his mid-40s, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, how do you fucking really hate on that? New Orleans Saints, number 3. And it's really kind of a fluffed number 3, to be honest, because really you could put all 3 of these teams, as, I mean, basically number 1, 2 number 2s, and a number 4. Okay. Number 3, the New Orleans Saints. Above expectations with exception. So as soon as Drew Brees announced his retirement, there was a large majority screaming that the Saints were never going to have a chance without him. Well, as of right now, as I said in the offseason, Jameis Winston is showing that he can do the job, and so far he is well improved from his god-awful days as the Bucs quarterback. For only week 3. Don't blow this out of proportion. Time will tell, but as of right now, they at least look like they're trying to follow with their game plan of success. And I do agree with exactly what I typed there. Jameis Winston does look better than he did with the Bucs. I think there was a mix of scheming problems and the fact that Jameis Winston loves throwing the fucking ball downfield a lot. Right now, I think the Saints can give that division a run for its money. Can they keep up with the Bucs and the Panthers as of right now? Not quite. But they're built for success. I just want to see where they go. Atlanta Falcons, number 4. I'm sorry for you Falcons fans, first of all. I just want to put that out there. Look, just like the Detroit Lions, the Falcons have been a mess since their last Super Bowl appearance. It's like they smacked their collective heads and have now come out with and come out of it as mental deficient. Or mentally deficient. I don't know what I should say what I should say about seeing a roster of potential awesomeness completely underperform year after year and try to blow smoke up your ass like their performance is going to be anything other than the product that they've already shown people. Complacency is an absolute bitch, and they're proving it game after game. They have the potential, but have a severe lack of follow-through. That is the storyboard script for the Atlanta Falcons. They have the potential, but they can't close anything out. Sometimes they can't even start it. It's insane. Now, the NFC West, one of the hottest divisions in the NFL right now, is the NFC West. The Los Angeles Rams, as I expected, above market expectations, though, surprisingly. The market expectations, everybody was kind of the jury's out on Matthew Stafford. I've been watching Matthew Stafford for years. That guy was very good on a horrible team. I've been a believer of Matthew Stafford's abilities for a long time. If you've watched that guy play, you can see that there's always been potential. But like Sam Darnold, if you play for a shit team, you get shit results. If you play for a good/great team, you get great results. Look, the Rams defense hasn't been the question mark. Jared Goff needed to have his hand held constantly for success and had to be on script to be great. Eventually, there's just not enough hand holding to make you look any better than what you are. They have a QB now that can make decisions on the fly, and with the talent and with talent, and all of a sudden they're leading their division as I said that they would. What else is there to say? Matthew Stafford is performing well. Their defense is performing well. They're playing well. They're not playing amazing. They're playing very well, though. Next, number 2, Arizona Cardinals. As expected, this is a mostly very young and extremely talented roster. They're growing as they're playing, but they're finding their own identity in each game. I 100% stand by that. As of right now, they are very much for real and right there to fight the Rams for that division. I think there's a bit more maturity from the Rams as of right now, but in a year or two, I think the Cards are set to make a serious run and be a major threat to the entire league. As long as they can hold themselves together, I actually believe that. I do. Only 2 more teams, and then I will be done with this damned video. This one's a bit of a longer description, and I do kind of have to go in depth into this because I think there's going to be some people that disagree with me on this. San Francisco 49ers, number 3. As I expected, but below market expectations. This team has an all-pro roster on both sides of the ball, a coach who is very stuck in his ways, and a major loss at defensive coordinator. I'm sorry, but Robert Saleh really was the heart and soul of that defensive squad and what drove them to be better every game. With a departure to head the Jets, the 49ers now have a glaring hole in their defense, and it's simply underperforming. It's not to say it's not the worst defense by any means, but it's definitely not what it was. On top of that, Jimmy Garoppolo is just not the franchise quarterback meant for this team. As of yet, he hasn't been able to stay healthy, has been underperforming, partially due to the scheming, and is obviously not the Tom Brady Jr. that many said he was, which doesn't fit the scheme anyway. He's not a terrible quarterback, truthfully, but I think he's a terrible fit to a zone-running offensive team. His performance against the Packers is proof that he's not bad, but just a bad fit. When you get him comfortably throwing the ball around, it comes down to when they are finally willing to admit it and give Trey Lance a real shot. Mobile quarterbacks in a zone-running scheme system always make so much more sense over a pocket passer just picking up random play-action passes when the coach finally admits that a pass should be thrown. Hopefully, they'll give Lance a full-time shot next season so he can learn the system fully before being thrown to the Wolves. I think this season has the probability of an underperforming mess, but I've definitely been wrong before. Now, here's the thing. I think Garoppolo needs to be traded at the end of the season. I think he needs to go to a team where he fits better because, I'm sorry, he is a pocket passer, okay? Yes, he can run. He can extend plays, but he's very much a pocket passer. That's his design. That's just how he plays. Okay? Every time Garoppolo runs, he gets all fucked up. I mean, think about it. That dude most of his injuries have come from when he's scrambling. He needs to just stay his ass in the pocket because that's where he does his best play. The problem is that a pocket passer in a primarily zone running offense it just doesn't fit well. Because you almost take RPOs completely out of the equation. RPOs being run pass option. If you have a mobile quarterback, though, you've got the double RPO scenario. You've got a guy who can throw the ball, who can run the ball himself, or he can hand it off to somebody. So you've got a triple threat there. It's a very, very good scenario for a mobile quarterback, not so much for a pocket passer. That's just my opinion. I think Lance is a time will tell kind of situation. I'm not saying put him in this season. I'm not. I'm saying let him learn. Give him a chance. Give him a chance in the offseason. See if he can outperform Garoppolo after he's learned the scheme very well. Just my thoughts. Finally, Seattle Seahawks. Below expectations. I will be honest, the defense is a problem. The offensive line is a problem. The QB and the receivers are certainly not. I don't question Russell Wilson's drive nor abilities at all. I question what the hell is going on with the coaching staff that has a very able team that's truthfully just underperforming as badly as they are at this point in the season. I truthfully hope and expect to see improvement as the season goes on, but as of right now, they can't possibly contend with the Rams and the Cardinals for any sort of realistic playoff run unless they grab the last spot for the Super Wild Card weekend. That really is just the truth. The Rams are a mess, or I'm sorry, not the Rams. The Seahawks are a fucking mess right now. They have a good quarterback. They've got great receiver. I'm sorry, they've got a great quarterback. They've got great receivers. They've got decent running backs. Offensive line that's a fucking hot mess, and a defense that is no longer that Legion of Boom, but more like the Legion of Limp. They're just not playing well. And they're forcing Russell Wilson to do something that he's not good at doing. Okay, they're forcing him to improv in situations that you almost just shouldn't improv. They're trying to force him to win games in positions that even he can't pull off. Some rabbits are not meant to be pulled out of the hat, and he's trying to anyway because he wants to win. Is it Russell Wilson's fault? Yes. That he makes some dumb plays? Yes. But it's also very much the scheme and the poorly built offensive line that he's playing behind. Let's just be honest. So that's it for my week 3 evaluation. I'm not going to do, I don't know, I may do every single week. They're not going to be long-ass videos like this because obviously I've given my points up to this point. I can simply go through and just go through the divisions at this point. Sometimes they will be longer. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If you disagree with me, by all means, leave a comment. It's the truth of it. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Because the truth of it is that this is just some random ass guy. Me, right? But I try to stay objective. Because without objectivity, what the fuck is the point? I think the NFL is a really, really fun sport to watch. And I think it's really fun because there's so many different minds involved and there's so many different schemes and gameplays. Although there's a lot of similarities, there's very much a lot of differences. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think of the video. If you like it, cool. If you don't, we'll kill it. I don't really care. Let me know. So folks, thanks very much for watching. Thanks for bearing with the long depth of this video, and I'll catch you later, okay?